Is if everybody keeps their microphone on mute, unless you want to say something. And if you want to say something, wave, or you might want to use the chat, but probably easier if you wave. You'll get
easier. Easier for us to see you. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, welcome. I'm happy you all can join us. And I wanted to do this today really so that you all could talk with Jazz and ask her any questions you have about the upgrade to Magical You. And of course, she's going to show us later what the upgrade is and share that with us. So that's really the basic plan for today. I wanted to just mention a little bit about myself, that I've been involved with the game for some time, like 3 years or so, and Jean has as well. And so we're kind of the old folks of this game, and I'm very excited about the Magical You, the additions of the cards, and I just got the cards myself about maybe 2 weeks ago. And so I've played a little bit with them, with one child, one young adult, and then for myself. I use the cards quite a bit for myself, and I love them. I love the new cards, which Jazz will tell you more about. So let me just see if there's anything I wanted to say. Oh, I wanted to introduce you to Robin here, the man of the group, who's been very involved with Jazz. Robin and his wife, Nicole, have been very involved with Jazz in developing Magical You. So they've been a very integral part of this. Robin, would you like to say anything? Anything you'd like to say?
Sorry, I'm having troubles this morning. I was already in the wrong room. Yeah, super excited because it's just Fast Track for Kids was already amazing, and it really just feels like Magical You has become, just add a pinch of magic to it, to something that's already been perfect in the way it was, and it just allows us to evolve, just like everything is evolving right now in the world constantly. This is just, I think, exactly what was needed, and really happy to be here today, and always love sharing this with everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Robin. Thanks. So, of course, the main reason we're here is really for Jazz, and for Jazz to talk about Magical You and the upgrade to Magical You, show you what's new, how you can get the new copies of the cards, all of that kind of stuff. And I think, as all of you know, Jazz is the one who created Magical You. So she has the most knowledge of anybody about this game. And so I invite you, as things go on, to ask her questions. And this is a great opportunity to chat with her and ask her anything you'd like to do. So I'll just turn it over to you, Jazz, and go for it.
Thank you, Susan, for all your hard work arranging this. Very diligent, amazing. Thank you. Robin is my new partner in Magic with this. He and his wife, Nicole, are conscious parents, and they did the training with Susan some time ago and got totally enamored with the whole process, and Robin hopped on a plane, came over to talk about being more involved with Fast Track for Kids as it was. And already at that time, Fast Track for Kids was changing within me. The name Fast Track for Kids has never been the right name. It worked because we all know about fast track technique, but if you don't know fast track technique, Fast Track for Kids isn't going to make much sense. So I always knew the name was off, but I didn't know what to call it. And then over the 3 years that Fast Track for Kids has been available, 3 to 4 years, I started to notice things, as you do with anything, you know, that an upgrade was needed, and we needed to bring some magic, some whoosh into the game. And of course, as you all know, I love whoosh. And as we started to look at new names, this name of Magical You came up, and to bring something additional to the game that was already doing a very, very good job. So the purpose today for me is to bring all of you Fast Track for Kids people up to speed with where we're at. It isn't necessary that you buy a new set of cards. You can, of course, but there are 2 additional cards. It still works in exactly the same way. And what we're going to do is we're going to send you the PDF files of the new cards, which at the front and the back, and you can put those on a piece of card, and they will be exactly the same size, and they will fit into your own existing set of cards. So you're totally upgraded. We can talk about that later. So let me just show you the new box. It's brilliant. So it's quite similar, but we changed the color. And you can see we've got all this magic exploding out. The cards are set out in exactly the same way. But what I'm going to do now is introduce you to the 2 new cards. And this is adorable. So this is in the blue set of cards. And these are the positive emotions at the end. And you can see this one is brave. And here's you. He's jumped off one edge of the cliff, and he's just marching totally with confidence to the other side of the valley. No hesitation, he's brave. And absolutely adorable. Sorry, can somebody mute themselves, please? Great. So he is in the positive section for the reprogramming. And the card, of course, that we're all here to play with is magic. And what is really, really interesting is, as you all know, I'm not the biggest planner or the biggest organized person that you'll ever meet. Things tend to happen, and I go with the flow. You can see with this card, this is a little Merlin the Magician. Now, when I worked with the designer, the graphics guy, to create these cards, I didn't consciously create the little Merlin you. But what I will tell you is that what I started to recognize is my first steps into my spiritual path. I met a guy called Anup, who was my first teacher and still is a very good friend. And I helped him create I worked with the system, his system, which was called Ascension Energy. Very shortly after we started to work with this, he changed the name to Merlin Trinity Healing System. So Merlin came into my life, let's say 10, 12 years ago. And I quite often used to have these visions of him or with me with him. And of course, I never believed it, because how could that happen to me? How could Merlin be bothered about little jazz? But here he is, he popped back in, and with the magic, with Merlin, and without me even really knowing what was going on, it was like consciousness arrived in these cards. They arrived at the same time. Robin and Nicole arrived, and there was a new energy that came into these cards, which is with these cards, which will emanate out with the magic of Merlin the Magician. And of course, we all know he's an alchemist, and this is really what we're basing this new upgrade on. Magic Merlin, the magician, the unknown, the impossible made possible, and any combinations of that you can possibly think of. So, how do we use the magic card? Oh, one thing I must tell you is in the new set of cards, as I say, all the other cards are the same, but we have changed the, what color were they? The orange cards, which was the where did it happen? The backs of those, which were orange, are now yellow. The orange was too similar to the red. It got confusing. So we now have yellow, and kids relate very, very much to yellow. The magic card is the only card with a purple back. So unique, a one-off. But in saying that, this card, when you set your cards out, you put it in the area of the blue cards, the positive cards, the reprogramming cards. But this card is more like a joker or the whale card. You can use this card for absolutely anything. So if you get a child that's a bit stuck or doesn't want to let go, anything that's going on is you bring in some magic. Of course, you're going to ask, you know, is that a good idea? And you're also going to ask what kind of magic works for you, because children will have their own idea of what's special, what's different, what will work for them. So it's not just magic, it's not just magical you. It could be Harry Potter, it could be a superhero, but it's their magic, and it's their magic that will run through this card. And when you use it, or when they use it, you pass this card to them, and they will literally throw the card at the set of cards where they're stuck. So it's physical action which disperses energy naturally, but also the fact that they're the ones that are doing it, and they've made a choice to do it, is absolutely incredible to witness, and it shifts the energy like crazy. What I found since this card came to me, and I've been using it, that's the main way to use it, but it's also a beautiful card for bringing magic into a situation. So it's almost like it can melt things, it can dissolve, you know, and you can bring it in at any time during the game when it feels appropriate. Am I going to teach you how to do that? No. But once you've got that card, you'll start out, whoa, I can do it. I can use it now. Oh, wow, this is amazing. So I'm still finding different opportunities to bring this card in. And in my own life, I've started to use Magical You for myself a lot more than before. I'm really, really fortunate because I know this game inside out, and I play it in my head. So if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm disturbed about something, it's like, okay, let's get the cards out. And I get the cards out in my head, and they present themselves to me. They show me what is going on, and I play that game by myself in my head. And it's been remarkable for me to experience the power of this game. What I believe is that these cards have a consciousness and a magic, but it's the picture, it's the actual picture that's doing the work. And it's almost like that picture sneaks under the door to go to where the situation is, and it unravels it by itself. So this isn't about being a smart practitioner, a brilliant practitioner, or a therapist. This is about you presenting the cards and allowing the cards to do the work by themselves. When I was doing one of these sessions for myself in bed, I got to the needs part, and it's like, okay, Jazz, so what do you need right here? And what I needed was a hug. I'm like, okay, so following my own instructions. So, and who do you need that from? I'm always a bit bossy. So who do you need that from? And the word that came up was God. I'm like, so where's God in here? Where's God? And of course, there's God. It blew me away. And when I'm like, okay, now I'm going to allow myself to receive that hug from God, is the magic came in through the top of my head, and I can still feel it right now. And it moved all the way down through my body. But what it was doing, it was connecting to the chakras. Now, I know about chakras, but I don't speak about them. I don't bother about them much. So this was very interesting for me, that this magic came from God as a hug down through the crown of my head into my third eye, and it traveled down all through all the chakras, linking them up. And then it went down into my feet and grounded me. It was amazing. So again, this is another use for the magic card. I'm not saying bring God into your sessions, but if there is say a religious or a cultural component or something like that, you've got this magic card, you can bring it in as something else, and it will occur to you, it's got consciousness, it wants to be used. We're stepping into a new normal, aren't we? Where magic is going to be very, very present. It already is, but we've been a bit too 3D. As we move into 5D, we're going to be seeing magic a lot more. And here's your card to remind you to bring it into your game and also into your life. And any questions on that?
Anybody have any questions? You can raise your hand. Katya?
You have to unmute yourself, Katya.
I just wanted to say that it's really amazing addition. It's great. It's really great. When I listen about it, it really makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that. So, as I say, I put the magic card off to the right side of the cards as they're set out. So it's always present. I'm always looking at it. And as I say, you will find ways to use it yourself. What I've also found is that when you get to that place of what do you need, it's also a good place, or no, sometimes it's a good place to bring in the thoughts or the possibility of forgiveness. Now, I'm not saying that kids have to forgive. Kids do not have to forgive. But sometimes, if you're aware of forgiveness and it feels appropriate, this is the area. What do you need? Well, they might need a hug. They might need their own space. They might need any of these cards, but they also might benefit from forgiving themselves, forgiving somebody else. And it's just a suggestion. If it feels right, if it feels gentle, then bring this in as a suggestion and don't make a big deal about it. If the child doesn't want to forgive, it doesn't matter. The game's still working. But again, it expands this area. And so give it a whirl. And if you're working with the cards by yourself, I know absolutely that we all need to be forgiving everyone and everything. So bring this into your own practice with the cards. That's not, the forgiveness aspect is not in any of the training manuals. I have created a new online training. It's not in there because it's not part of the game. It's just something I'm offering to you as a possibility. I think you will find quite
Okay.
all right, a couple of things I want to mention.
Hi, Jess. Zoe here.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Can I ask, is there a forgiveness card in the series?
No, there isn't, because this is just something that showed up for me about 2 weeks ago. And these cards now have been printed for a few months. It could be at some future date, there might be a forgiveness card when I see how that works. I don't want to start creating 100 cards. It's going to make the game far too complicated. I'm sharing this with you because the more you play, the more I play, the more possibilities come to us. But don't forget what you have got in all of your sets.
The empty card to add on.
Blank. And so what you can do is you can take a post-it and you can make your own forgiveness card, or you can make it really beautiful. You can make one yourself, but it's not part of the set at this time. And maybe the future, but maybe not. But it's just something for you to know and bring in for yourself and children if you feel it's appropriate. And I actually don't want to put it in as part of the thing that has to be done, because it hasn't got to be done.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for sharing.
No, thank you. So yeah, so now we've got the new Brave card. We also have the Strong card. And Susan was very much instrumental with this, because right at the beginning, Susan had a little client and he had huge anger issues. Nobody really knew why. Don't suppose he did either. But Susan was great and she helped him unravel this anger issue, but not completely. And what we discovered was that he was actually attached to holding on to some of his anger. Now of course, there was a language barrier there, but based on my experience is if a child notices anger being a kind of a power, they will want to hold on to some of their anger so that they will be powerful or strong. And let's face it, we get those examples on TV everywhere, don't we, about anger, how it's a very powerful emotion. And a young child isn't going to understand the detrimental effects of that, are they? And even us as adults, sometimes we're not going to let all of it go because it's giving us something, right? So anger doesn't do anybody any good whatsoever. Now, if you have a child or yourself or a client that is very attached to their anger and wants to hold on to some of it, what you can do is offer the opportunity to exchange the anger to strong and brave, or strong and brave. And you can do a nice swap, and they will get the understanding that this is way better when it's got that with it than anger, which is just like this. So this is something else that we've understood that I'm sharing with you.
And Jazz, may I make a comment?
Please.
So, and what Jazz was talking about, this same boy, I just recently showed him some of the magic cards, and he was so excited about the magic card. I mean, he just lit up about the magic card. And when we were working with how did he want to feel, what he picked was the magic card, the strong card, the brave card, and happy. So just exactly what Jazz is saying. I mean, they just respond to that, and he was so happy to have all of those new cards. So, yeah, thank you.
And again, what's interesting is that that little boy does not read English, so he's not looking at the words on the cards. He's looking at the pictures, and that's it. Look at the pictures. It's not the words. And in my trainings, I'm always say, the words are more for the adults, but as an adult, don't assume that what you mean by that word on the card is what they mean. This is where you need to be curious and playful about, and what does that mean for you? Oh, well, that's interesting. I've not thought of it that way. And you empower them by asking questions, listening to the answers, and of course, letting them be right, which often as adults, we don't let kids be right, do we? Because we know so much better. Another thing that's come up for me is the accident card. Now, this card, until now, did not get used very often. It's about physical accidents, you know, maybe an illness. Somebody's even related to this about a hospital thing. But when I was doing my own session with this, and it's like, well, where is it? Where, you know, where's that in my body? It's like, well, it's everywhere. And it's all the bashes and the bruises that not physical ones for me, but it was like, where do I feel that in my body? Well, I feel it everywhere. So this is another possibility for this card. It's because you can see all these scratches and elastoplasts and stuff. So again, just take that into your awareness that it's a nice element to bring in. And you can always make the suggestion, well, shall we use this card? And they will get it. Yeah, it's all over the place. And they might say to you, it's all over the place. Like, okay, let's bring this one in. And again, the more you play, the more possibilities you'll see in these cards.
I had a child use that accident card as a mistake. So she picked it up on her own and said, it's a mistake that was made. And I found that very fascinating because as an adult, like I couldn't see that. But as a child, she picked and used that card and said, it's a mistake that has been made. It was like, wow.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And so you learned something from them and you can use that. That's brilliant. A mistake. Fabulous. I love it. Thank you, Jean. 3 last cards. You've all got this card. This is the bullying. If a child particularly chooses this card, as an adult, what you're going to do probably is assume that this is them. Do not. I had one client and I just asked which one's you, and I just assumed that they would say this one, and it was this one. They were the bully and they hated it. Always know that most bullies have been bullied, so it's something that they've been born into. It could be in their genetics. It's something that they can't stop themselves from doing because they've been programmed and they've experienced it themselves. So be careful with, well, not be careful, be curious with this card and which one is you. And again, adults feel that they're bullied by people who are having opinions about them. So don't think this is just about kids at school. It's not. The last 2 are family. So this one is the where did it happen? This is the angry family, and this is the happy family in the what do you need? Just remembering this will help you. Sometimes a child can't let go, won't let go, or doesn't want to let go. Maybe because it's still real. And as a therapist and maybe or an inexperienced person, you're like, well, what can I do about that? What can I do to help? You can't go and change their situation at home, can you? But what you can do is ask them if they would like to exchange, to make a swap, to bring this in and to let that one go. Will it change the situation at home? You never know. You never know. We can't change family situations. We can only help the child as much as we can help the child. But when, as we know, when their vibration changes, anything could happen. And often, you know, the truth is, we don't know that what they're telling us is the truth. It's their truth, which means that's what we work with. But we don't really know what's going on at home. And that's out of our brief also. So again, you can use these to do a swap, to make a deal, and again, bring some magic into that to make it happen. So that could just look like that. Or what it could look like is as you can see, it's evolving all the time. And I now have a training video that will be presented to people doing the training. We are going to offer upgrade trainings for you guys. You know, if you, and this is for people on the replay, if you came and attended one of the trainings, and if you've got the cards, it probably means you did attend a training with either myself, Jean, or Susan. But if you then, after a week or two, put your cards on the shelf and forgot about them and are very rusty and don't really know how to get going again, we're going to offer these mini upgrades at a very, very reasonable price. And then you will have access to this training video, which takes you through every step of the way with the new cards. We can talk about that later or send you information by email if you're interested. Yes, that's it really, I think. Get your cards off the shelf, get them out. I'll also be showing you, that's where I was going, I will also be showing you how to use these cards on yourself, by yourself. And I will do it on myself and let you see, I won't be training you, I will just show you how my thoughts work and how they take me naturally around this game. And when you can start using these set on yourself, for yourself, then the value grows. And also, in my opinion, you start to see other possibilities. Your confidence is expanding. And let's face it, the magic's coming in. So get your cards off the shelf, out of the drawer, and get playing Magical You. You'll be very, very pleased that you did.
Great, Jazz. Thanks so much. So any questions? Any of you have questions, comments, anything you'd like to say? You can unmute yourself. I can't see most of you. So, Katya? Did you have something?
I'm the one with the questions.
Yes, you're great. You're great. You're always very involved. Yeah.
The question is about the releases that we normally do. Are we still like, is it changed sometime with your practice, Jess, or not? You still do releases same way with the
Great
middle
question.
line saying the same words, or it's modified now?
Great question. And I should have got that covered. And and I didn't have that covered, so thank you. If you're familiar with Fast Track the Kids and you want to continue using that generic phrase, I fast track the release of blah, 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 then you can do that. Of course, fast track the release in Magical You doesn't fit. So what the phrase that I use is, oh, we've got some brilliant new stones actually. Well, I haven't even got them yet. I'm being withheld from or Robin is withholding the magic stones from my own ones. He's got them all stashed away there in his house in Bali. But anyway, so let me just show you. So I've got my stone here. And if it's a child, what we're doing, we're empowering the child to take responsibility. So let's say it's anger and sad, and it happened at home, and I'm feeling it in my chest. So I want to cover all those points. So I'm going to say, whoo, I can feel it. And I'm going to bring in some magic. Where's my magic? Where's my magic?
You threw it across the room.
Oh, Strong's under the table and magic.
I have to say, seeing how often I saw you throw the card, it shows how resilient they are.
Yeah, they're a bit thicker as well, these cards, actually. Okie dokie. So, what I've got here, this is representing my body. So I've got magic, school, sad, and angry. So this is my story. And I'm going to pretend I'm 6. I'm Jazz. And I'm 6. And I'm going to take all of that sad, all of that angry that I'm feeling in my chest that happened at home. I'm going to put it in the basket of a hot air balloon. And I'm going to sprinkle it with magic. And I'm going to send it off high into the sky, far away from me, everyone in my story, and everyone in the world. Now, so to give the age of the child in the present, you know, I'm Tim and I'm 8 years old. They've owned it. And I'm going to get all of the blah, blah, blah emotions that I'm feeling in my body, wherever that is, that happened at, and I'm going to, and of course you will have asked the child what they want to do with it. And they would have said, oh, I'm sending it to, I had one sent it, one little boy the other day, and he managed to, he had 3 issues going on all at the same time. I didn't know when we first started, it was like, what? And he sent one of them to Jupiter, another one to the black hole, and I can't remember what he did with the other one. So he got really involved in where he wanted to send them. I used exactly the words he gave me, and brought those into his releasing phrase. So they're totally empowered, they're making choices, and of course they've got their own magic stone to do that with. That makes sense?
Yes, I had this question also. Sorry for that. So once they decided it, and what was the question was? So you do one release at the end of the session. So when it's already the old picture there, it's only one release, and they do it how they want to do it. Is it correct?
No.
So it's still few releases.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So just to expand that for anybody that's listening is you do, of course, what you've done is with the child, you talk them through their topic or their issue is what's the name of your game? How does it happen? How does it make you feel? That's when you get the emotions. Where did it happen? And where do you feel that in your body, 0 to 10? What do you want to do with that? Then you do the release, and then you go back like, wow, that was good. What are those numbers now, your 0 to 10 numbers? And then based on that, you take the next action. So if the numbers come down to about say around about 3 or 4, then you'll switch into what do you need. If the numbers stay higher than say 5, then you will do another release on the first side of the game. You know, I'm Jazz, I'm 6, and I'm going to take all of that remaining blah 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 and do whatever I'm going to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you do that second release, again, when we do the training, or we offer this upgrade in the training or refresher training, let's call it refresher training, we'll go through that in more detail to make sure you're remembering it. On one training, in a 3-hour training, I know that the information will have been given to you, but by the time we get home, we've forgotten a lot of it, and we can start making up our own things and what to do or whatever. So it would be a great opportunity to revisit this and also to learn any extras that have come in since you did your training.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jazz. Anybody else? Okay, Jean. Yeah.
If a child doesn't, let's say, a more introverted child or whatever child is unfamiliar, or they're a bit more afraid to actually say what they want to do with it, what are some of the suggestions we can give them of what to do with it? Would we prompt them?
Yes, I always prompt them anyway, because often a child, I think you've probably experienced, they don't trust adults. Like, what is she?
Or they're suddenly given this choice and they're a bit like, you mean I can choose? And then they're a bit like hesitant because they're afraid to say what they really want to do with it.
Yeah, it's like, are they really listening? So I will just automatically say, so what do you want to do with this, Jimmy? Do you want to keep it or do you want to let it go? They've got a choice now. 90 odd times out of 100, they will say, I want to let it go. And they say, well, I want to let it go. It's like, okay, great. So is there any way you'd like to send it? Do you want to put it in the ocean, send it to outer space, stomp all over it? What would you like to do with it? And they're like, oh, right, okay. I want to put it in the bin. And say, okay, and what should we do? Put the lid on it? And so make a nice story for them so that they're really connecting to that. And in the release is to do your best to use exactly the words that they said. If they say, I want to send it to Jupiter, you don't say, well, I'm going to send that to Venus. Or if they use the word belly, you don't change it to stomach. Use their words as much as you can, when you can, because then they get confidence, and then they know that you're listening to them and that you understand, and they will give you a bit more information or open up a little bit more. If, and that takes us to another point, Jean, thank you. If a child, and they will do this sometimes, and adults more than a child really, do you want to let it go? No. You're like, oh, what are you doing here? It's like, okay, this has happened to me, and of course that's not what you want to hear, but it does happen. Let's face it. They, you know, once they've got in touch with it, it's all new. Oh, now I can let this go. Well, who would I be without this stuff? Oh my God, I've had this for, you know, 69 years. What's it going to feel like if I let it go? So if they say they don't want to let it go, or, well, I'm not sure. Say, for instance, they've chosen 4 emotions. Say it's worried, lonely, embarrassed, and scared. It's like, okay, right, well, I get that. I understand that. I mean, of course you will, is there any reason why? And they might tell you. Well, how's about we just release one of them? How would that be? And generally they say, well, yeah, I can do that. Well, which one do you think we should start with? So you're giving it back to them. They're always right, but you're offering them possibilities, because to release 4 or 5 things all at once might be overwhelming. And if by any chance, as the other day, I got one boy and he chose all of the emotions bar 2, like there was no way in the world you can release all of those at one time. So I split it up into groups of 3 or 4. By the time we'd done 2 sets of emotions, they'd all gone anyway. So break it down so it's doable for them and also for you to handle, because you've got to fit all of this into your nice little story. Is that helpful, Jean?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jess. It's great. It's great. All those that advice. Robin, did you have a comment?
No, I just wanted to say I really like the breakup part. Even on the how do you feel, I felt with my kids often they want to feel everything, and then but then when they lift up the cards and look at them, it was like, no, it's too much. I can't really get all of them. Then we do the same. We break it up in 2 or 3 goes, and just really allowing them to connect on that level and like, yeah, really make sure they feel that way they want to feel. And just acknowledging, I love how Jess said, really acknowledging their language, even if it makes no sense, even if it's, you know, whatever it might be, just, yeah. You want to put it into a poop emoji, put it in a poop emoji, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The only other thing I just got, so because Jess talked about them, so these are the new release stones. Jess, package is on the way for you on Mondays. Picked up, get yours. So coming next week. But yeah, so these are the new stones that we have in Bali right now. And we have some extras for anybody who is in Bali and needs some new stones, can get them from us as well.
And Robin, do you think you could share with us the information about the guy that's making the stones? Because I think that makes them very, very special.
Yeah, he's a Balinese artist who really believes in energies. He has a very good understanding of the 5 elements. So every morning before he starts working, he gets himself into a beautiful space. And when we talked, and I talked to a lot of people about magic stones, he was the only one who got when I said, I need to have magic in the stones. So when he did them, I mean, you can see just the glitter, and there's no sun right now, so there's no sparkling, shiny effect. But yeah, these are yeah, he found a way to really create this sparkly magic going into these resin stones. So what is special about them is they don't break. So all of a sudden, when kids play with them, they fall down. It doesn't matter. You know, they're the same size as the stones were before, a little bit bigger, but they're just, yeah, I always say they're truly infused with magic because they're made, yeah, by somebody who really believes in what we're doing. And also, the other beautiful part is, you know, the time. Bali right now is suffering with not having tourists, with not having a lot of income, and here we're able to help not just a family, we're helping a whole village by producing these here locally. And so, yeah, it's also supporting people at the same time. So it's just all around a feel-good story.
And I just wanted to say, Robin and Jazz and all of you, they feel great. I mean, I have the stones myself, and they just feel terrific. And the way they're shaped, they shape kind of to your hand, but then they're flat, so they go over the top. So they're, I mean, I love them, Robin. They're really terrific.
Thank you. Stop making Jess jealous. She's going to get mad at me.
That's right. She's going to be envious. So it's almost,
really,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jean. It's almost
sorry,
time.
I'm just going to say it's really important that they are childproof. Because like some parents, they get anxiety. I use normally the magnets, which I allow the kids to throw around anyway, because, you know, it's fine, they're magnets. But the parents get really anxious because they're like, stop doing that, you know, like don't ruin the, you know, the therapist, somebody else's magnet. So it's really good that they are childproof. We're glad to hear that.
Yeah. So Jazz, it's almost time to stop for this particular part of it. If we want to just see if there's anyone else who has any questions before we stop this part. And Leanne, do you have anything you want to say or ask?
No, nothing from me. Just interesting to hear and get back into it, because I haven't really worked much with the kids cards since the very beginning, because I've done more with adults. So, and my daughter's 13 and a half, and just she loves, she's actually quite likes the adult cards, but not so much.
she's moved on to the adults.
So it's just good to hear all of this, just to refresh myself and hear where it's at.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Let me just pop this on the end. As I mentioned, we're going to offer a refresher training. Everybody that signed up today will get the PDFs to make your own new cards, so you've upgraded. But if you want a refresher training and have access also to this training video that I've now made, which you will have access to forever. I think there's about 13 different little videos setting you up and then taking you through the whole system. And then there's videos about somebody working on a physical condition by themselves. There's a few different scenarios of how you can use the cards. So we will set that up depending on how many people want to do it and where you are in the world. The cost of that is going to be $30 US, which isn't very, very much. And it's probably something that Susan and I will do together. So I just put that on the end so you've got an idea of what's going on, and you will probably get that information as well on the replay information that Susan sends to you.
Great, thanks, Jazz. So what we're going to do now, Jazz, as I understand, is we're going to stop this part, and then you're going to kind of play.
Yes.
With those people who want to stay. Oh, Robin, yes.
Just quickly too, you know, just to let everybody know, the cards are in Bali right now. Susan has them available, boxes, so nobody has to wait for shipping if anybody's interested in actually getting the new boxes as well. So that is obviously an option as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Robin. So any of you who want to stay, of course, you're all welcome to stay for Jazz and let her show you what she's doing. And we'll just stop the video for the moment.